Hello, 80N. These will be your critiques by your fantasy name, and we'll get through these as quickly as we can. I know that I posted some incomplete grades without these speech numbers in it. I'll get that fixed as soon as possible, but that's all that wasn't there on the grades that were posted today. Overall, the speeches were pretty good. If there are some problems, it's because you haven't read the directions totally, and you're leaving out some things. I want to talk about a number of things. First of all, see this shot an inch or two above my head? Bus line right through here. This is the only shot I want to see. Period. Got to understand that. The only shot I want to see is this shot. Now, if you hold up a visual in your speech, you got a couple of choices. You can hold it up like this, or you can hold it up like this, which is really not good. But do not zoom in or out to show me this. Send me a copy of this, and I will reference it while you're talking about it. In fact, you can hold it out here and say, I've got something where I want to show you what happens and then talk about what's in there. I will be looking at it just as your audience would be if you held it up for them. If you do a PowerPoint where you're going to be referencing it, do not turn the camera to the PowerPoint. Don't show it to me. Give me the PowerPoint. Send it to me. I will look at it, and I will judge how you did vis-a-vis what I was looking at on the screen. All right? Do not move the camera. Now, had a student that said, I'm very tall, and most of my audience is very small. How can I introduce them and me get in the shot if we don't move the camera? Well, okay, common sense. You move the camera down, get the people that are not as tall as you are, get them nice and tight. They may mention their name. They give their age or say they're over 21. And they do 1, 2, 3, and leave. They don't have to do this, but a beat, 3 beats and leave. You only introduce your audience at the start of your speech, never again. The audience must move in front of the camera. Do not turn the camera and show me way off in the distance. Great Aunt Matilda is sitting on a couch in the shadows, and I can't even see if that's a person or a mannequin. Okay? Walk in front of the camera. Key point. Now, everyone's introduced. Then you come into the shot. Have your camera person adjust the shot to this, what you're seeing right now. Wait until the shot is ready. Same amount of time the audience is taking their seats and everything gets quiet. And then take a deep breath, look down, see where you're going to start, look up, and go. That's how you do your audience and how you start your speech. I do not want the camera moving, panning left or right. I do not want the camera zooming in or out. When you're talking, I want you to talk to me, the camera. Where you are, talk to the camera. Do not talk to the people over there. Don't talk to the people over there. Talk only to the camera. I'm the one that gives you the grade. Those people all love you, so you're going to get good grades from them anyhow. All right. Now, a couple of points. This course was tweaked over the summer, and there are some things that still aren't right. So let's talk about those for a second. You have some what are called peer group things. It looks like you have to judge somebody else and what's in it for you and all of that. It's an exercise. Do it and say, well, that was interesting. If there's nobody there or the person you're supposed to judge doesn't turn in their speech, they won't be there. There are no points for doing this. It's for your own benefit. You can kind of say, okay, it's easier to spot what somebody else does wrong than it is to spot what you do wrong. But once you spot it, then it might help you not make the same mistakes. So the peer group judging is nothing that's graded. If you do it, fine. If you don't do it, fine. I'll never know. Don't send me anything like that. We'll be fine. All right, there are some learn smarts that are in there. Those you should do. They're for your benefit. You might even see some points show up. I've seen 5 points and 10 points and things like that. Those do not count on your grade. The only thing that counts on your grade are the discussion boards. That's 160 points. The speeches, including the public speaker critique, which is 740 points. And the quizzes, which are 20 points each. There's 5 of them. That's 100. That adds up to 1,000 points. Those are the only points you get in this class. All right? So Do the Learn Smarts. They're for your own benefit, but don't expect to get any credits off of that. The other kinds of things that I want to talk to you about briefly are the outlines. Do not, it's in the syllabus. I don't know how much clearer I could make this. All course materials that you need to get to me must be emailed to me from your Ivy Tech email address to my Ivy Tech email address. Don't post them in Connect. Don't post them anywhere in Blackboard. Email them to me. The only things you do that you do not send to me are the exams, which are done in Blackboard, and the discussion boards, which are also done in Blackboard. Everything else you send to me. You do a speech, you've got visuals, send me a copy of the visuals. You do a speech and you've got a PowerPoint that you do, send me the PowerPoint so that I can look at it. Okay. Discussion boards. There are 160 points there, and I've been pretty liberal so far. I'm not going to be that way anymore. I'm telling you right now, you must read the directions and follow the directions explicitly. If it says, discuss this in detail, and then it says, and comment to someone else on what they posted, and give them some ideas, etc., you commenting on someone else and saying, that's a good idea. I like that. I agree. That is not a well-composed response. You must have substantive material to get full point credit on the discussion boards. And remember, 160 points on a 1,000-point scale is a grade, letter grade, and a half. Don't mess with those points. We've had people leave 50 and 60 points on the table in these classes. That's death. Don't do it. You can use those points. So the other thing you're going to have to worry about is in some of the upcoming speeches, it tells you to do your sources. You've got to provide 3 sources, 4 sources. The bibliography is fine. That's where they should be listed. But if you source something or you state a fact, you must tell me verbally in the speech so your audience knows too, where'd you get that? And I've said this example before. You can't say 10 people are killed each week in traffic accidents in Indiana and go on to your next point. That's a fact, or you're representing it as a fact. And if you don't say where it came from, so you would say something like, according to the Indiana State Police, or according to the National Safety Council, or 10 people are killed each week in traffic accidents in Indiana, according to the AAA, all right? You must have the source with the fact. Your audience never sees the bibliography. They don't see your outlines. Please read the outline directions very, very carefully. Many of you are not doing the outlines according to Hoyle and what you're supposed to be doing. A couple of other things. One member of this class who has a color for a fantasy name has that color because you haven't sent me the fantasy name. Neither have you sent me your ID. Also, engaged, you have not sent me a photo ID. Everyone else, we're fine. We've got that. We're ready to go. Now, let's talk briefly for a moment about the kind of the practice video that you did. All right. I'm not going to name any names here because these are pretty much consistent with the kinds of problems that you'll have. And if it wasn't, you think about making sure it doesn't happen to you. Frame up the shots. Left, right, up, down. See this shot right here? This is the only shot I want to see all through your speech except for the introduction of the audience. All right? And the audience needs to be this close too so we can see who they are. The lighting needs to be that I can see your face and your eyes, all of that stuff. Watch your length. Don't go too short. Don't go too long. Follow directions as outlined in the instructions for the speech. Check your audio. We have some horribly distorted audio for people. I can't even understand what is being said. Look at your stuff. If it doesn't sound good to you, it sure is not going to sound good to me. And when I look at things that have bad video or bad audio, I wonder, did you look at this? So don't send me bad stuff. Make sure that you get the shots right. And also, make sure you got enough light on the face. I've got to be able to see your eyes throughout. Don't do light on only half the face. If I can only see one eye, that's not going to do it. All right? Don't stand in front of bright lights in front of windows or with bright lights in the picture. That'll cause your camera to iris down. That'll cause your face not to be lighted properly. Don't get too close on your shot, and make sure you do not shoot up, straight in on the shot. Okay? Now we're going to talk about the speeches, and first one is Maverick. And Maverick, you have a good appearance. That's nice. You have the wrong shot composition. You have severely distorted audio. I can't understand most of what you said. You have very, very low volume. When I bring the volume on my end up full, I can hardly hear, and then given the distortion, it's costing you points. You're shooting up into your face. Look at your notes briefly, then at the camera. Get some more eye contact. Don't do so much down here. Look at the camera when you're talking down to just get a fact or a kind of a point of what you're going to be talking about next. Work on flow and smooth out the rough spots. Watch the ahs and the ums. And you only have one outline, and it wasn't labeled. Outlines must be labeled. You must tell me it is the speaker outline. You must tell me it is the preparation outline. Don't make me guess. All right, next up is rhubarb. Wrong shot, wrong composition. This is not an introduction speech. It's an informative speech, and you're shooting up into your face. It's not the right shot composition. I'm going to say don't. I'm going to say something positive here. You have a decent story capability. You're a storyteller. The lighting is kind of okay, and I'm going to come back to the speech in a moment. You want to make sure that when you turn in an outline, you turn in an outline that meets specifications. You turn in a handwritten outline, I can't read it, and it's not acceptable. Everything turned in college must be typed and turned in that way. There are too many things wrong. Check the directions or call me if you're not sure what you're supposed to do. And you only introduce the audience at the beginning of the speech. All right? So kind of work on that and make as good as you can. Next up is red. Red because you didn't give me a fantasy name, so you're not going to know who you are. There was way too much room noise. Very hard to hear you. You have the wrong camera shot. The composition and framing is wrong. It looks to me like you're shooting, and I'm going to hold up something here. If this is the camera, you're shooting vertical instead of horizontal. See, this picture is kind of horizontal. It's not vertical. Okay? Don't shoot this. Shoot this. And it's pretty consistent when you do that, and it makes it look a lot better. You have your speech ends abruptly. After introducing, you say, Mandy, the love of my life, and it just cuts off. So, look at that. Make sure that if you see that happen, that you don't let it happen, you fix it. You only sent one outline, too. Good appearance for Bucky. Bucky, good appearance. Audio gets very loud, then goes down. It kind of goes like this. And then it gets real loud, and then it goes around like this. It's not you. It's something in the camera, I think. Very good background, nice frame shot, good composition. The background does not distract. It adds to what you're saying. It makes the audience focus on you. There's nothing distracting there. Work on your outline format. You're a good storyteller, and it was a good story. Nice job. Nice style, Bucky. Way to go. All right, next up is completion. And completion, you have a very good conversational style. You want to check the speech directions carefully because this one was way off. Lose all the dates and counters and words that are on the screen from your camera telling us what day of the month it is, what month, and all that. Get rid of all of that. I only want to see a clean picture of you. All right. You immediately went from a introduction speech into an informational speech about guns. And in and of itself, we're going to talk about that. Informational speech on guns is fine. An introduction speech, which goes all through talking about guns, you got off on the wrong topic for your speech. The other thing is you got to kind of put yourself in the position of, Could you ever do that speech in a face-to-face class on campus? If you came in this building with a bag full of guns and bows and arrows, you'd be stopped at the door. Or if you got into the classroom because everything was in a bag and they're not real suspicious, the moment you took a gun out, the class would run out of the room in a panic. It doesn't make any difference. You got to be really, really careful about the topics you pick. You have the wrong shot composition, you have no outlines, and kind of watch your grammar. But I'm going to encourage you because you have a good kind of a storytelling style. Next up is engaged, very low audio. You need to get tighter on the shot composition. I have no outlines. You only had 13 seconds of your actual speech, and I know you had a camera problem, so talk to me so we can get this speech submitted and do something about that grade. That's going to be very important you fix that. Next is Mamba, M-A-M-B-A. I can't see your eyes because of both your hair and the light. Very distracting background. You have a rambling style, seemingly pointless in where you go from one thing to another. Never introduce yourself as part of the audience. Have the audience walk in front of the camera. Don't move the camera around the room. Have them go through the same area where you're going to be standing. It's very difficult to see your eyes. If you don't take this class seriously, by the way, then I'm not going to take your speeches seriously. Don't treat this class as a joke. I will not allow that to happen, and you will not do well in this class if you and your audience think this is some kind of a party speech you're doing. You need to move closer to the mainstream in your presentation. You're way out there, and this is not one of those kinds of classes. At a very poor ending, lose the pop bottle, no notes. You have a slight tisk when you talk. You have a little bit of this from time to time. And this is not an audience participation class. It's a speech class, and tell your audience that they're not supposed to talk to you during the speech, and it's best that they not even react to anything you say during the speech. Okay, that's it. If you have any questions, call me in my office, and we'll be doing this again next time. Have a good one.